Slowly getting started. The House just adjourned, so we are going to try our best. There's Representative Hansen, Senator Benson, Senator Frantz, Mr. Nobles, and I just sent an email out to the group. Hopefully we'll get somebody else to log on. I know Representative Bernardi may have to call in, so we're going to see what happens. And just as a reminder, we are recording this and we are live streaming it on Facebook. I got a message from Representative Bernardi saying she's rebooting her computer, so hopefully that will go quickly and then she'll be able to join us. Oh. You might be in business. Hi, Connie. Representative Bernardi, we're having trouble hearing you. Representative Bernardi, we're having trouble hearing you. Representative Bernardi, we're having trouble hearing you. This echo.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Well, whatever. I had technical difficulties. I couldn't get into our House of Representatives today, so I ran down here quickly and got on the House floor. So don't have all my equipment or my notes. I left the house quickly. So anyway, thank you for your patience. So Judy, did you get us started or you wanted me to start off now?
We haven't started yet. I think we're waiting for you to convene.
Okay.
Officially.
Okay, I call the office of the Legislative Audit Commission Subcommittee to order, or the topic committee to order. Did I get that right, Judy?
So it's the Legislative Audit Commission Evaluation Subcommittee.
Right, there you go. Thank you. Sorry about that. I'm a little discombobulated. So thank you everybody for being here today. We're hoping that we can get through this fairly quickly. And what we wanted to start out, we have a quorum, I take it?
Yep.
Okay. And Ms. Randall, she was going to lead us through briefly to how we got here and briefly discuss what the topics are that remain on the list, and then we will have members ask questions and then move to votes.
Thank you, Representative Bernardi, and thank you all for your patience and flexibility as we do this. I am hopeful that the other members will join us. I know they were emailing about this tight time slot. As a reminder, we started off with 102 topics that people had suggested. Legislators, staff, citizens suggested that OLA evaluate this year. The subcommittee met once previously and narrowed that list down to 16 topics. Because of COVID-19 and kind of disruption to all of us, we skipped a process. Normally we would have one more meeting where the subcommittee would narrow down those topics to 10. We skipped that meeting and instead put all 16 of those topics you all had selected on a survey of legislators to gauge interest. And then we also did work within OLA to develop some background papers on those topics and to rate them based on the topic selection criteria. So the job for the subcommittee today is to select the final 5 topics. We're going for 5 topics this year that you will then submit forward to the full audit commission to approve for OLA to evaluate this year. We're kind of now to the final phase. You should have received some emails both last week and this week with meeting materials. I'll just kind of, I'm not going to screen share and be fancy. I'm just going to hold it up here. One is the survey responses that should look somewhat familiar. It's also available on our website, and then members were emailed it. That's the responses to the legislative survey. You also should have this, which is OLA staff ranked topics based on most promising to least promising. That's really a reflection of where we think we can add the most value on those topics. And then you also have background papers and kind of a short summary that shows where each topic rated on the topic selection criteria. I think because we are short on time, I'm going to just, I think Representative Quam is going to be joining us real soon too, so that's good. So what I'm going to do real quickly is walk through the topics in the alphabetical order. It's also the order that they're listed here in the survey, and I'm just going to do like 20 seconds on each to give you a high level thought on how we're doing, how it did on the survey, and then what OLA thinks of it, and if it's a place where we think we can add value, and then we'll try to get going on this. Does that sound good, Madam Chair and members? Okay, nice.
Great, thank you.
And Representative Quam, are you there? Okay, we can't see you or hear you, just so you know, so working on it. Okay. But I'm going to keep going. Okay, so the topic, we're just going alphabetically down this list. Achievement and integration for Minnesota. It is the newer version of integration revenue. I think it scored kind of in the middle of the pack on the survey. OLA rated it relatively highly. It's something that we could evaluate and add value on. We actually did an evaluation of integration revenue in 2005. I will just note it was the first project I managed, so it has a soft spot for me, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily the best topic for OLA, but it's certainly something where we could, I think, dig in and look and see how school districts are implementing this program now, especially as compared with the goals that they have established. Next topic is Board of Animal Health, Oversight of Domestic Animals. You'll see that it did not get a lot of votes on the survey. I think it's certainly something OLA could do and evaluate. I think the question on that from OLA's standpoint is we looked at the Board of Animal Health about 2 years ago related to their oversight of deer and elk farms. Small agency, when OLA does an evaluation, we do ask a lot of an agency, so I'm not sure it's the right time to go back to such a small board and be subject to another evaluation, but it's certainly something where we could add value. The next two are boards, the Board of Cosmetology and the Board of Psychology. Let's see, the Board of Cosmetology got many more votes than the Board of Psychology. OLA thought both of these would be good evaluations. One of the things that we're interested in managing this year, frankly, is our resources, especially as we're entering a pretty uncertain budget picture and resource picture. And so having a smaller board to look at helps us manage our resources. In addition, I think it's good to periodically look at these small boards. There were concerns on both of these boards related to licensing concerns. And then related to cosmetology in particular, a lot of questions about their budget. The next one, child protection removals and reunifications. If you have the survey results in front of you, you'll see that that is by far and away the biggest vote getter. I think that is a topic that we would need to do some scoping on. But I think we have a good understanding of what the questions are related to removal of children from their homes. And this is a topic we have evaluated in the past. And it's something that I think we could do well again. Representative Quam, I'm just going to mute you right now because I think we're getting some feedback. You should be able to unmute yourself, and I'll unmute you when the conversation happens as well. Hope that is okay. If not, send me an email. The next one is Collaborative Urban and Greater Minnesota Educators of Color Program. This one also got a lot of votes. This is a relatively small grant program, but there have been changes lately, and I think there's interest in expanding this. I think we could look certainly at the grant program administration of this program in terms of being able to measure the impact of this program on increasing diversity of teachers in the schools. I'm not so sure we'd be able to add a ton of value on that, but we could certainly answer questions related to the administration of this program, and especially in light of its recent expansion. Next topic is DNR special revenue funds. As we mentioned at the last meeting, this is something the Financial Audit Division will be getting to sometime this year. And so a lot of the questions related to this were financial in scope, where's the money coming from, and is it being used for the correct dedicated purposes? That's really set up for a financial audit, and that is something that our Financial Audit Division is committed to doing. Driver examination stations, you'll see that this ranked highly on both the survey and OLA ratings. We rated this as the most promising topic. It's not something we've looked at before. There were a lot of concerns about how DPS is managing the driver examination stations, questions about new funding and how that was being used. We think it's a solid program evaluation. The next topic, impact of building code and permit requirements. Questions, this one also got a lot of votes, but the questions on this, I think we are concerned that we wouldn't be able to answer. The questions are, basically to what extent do building permits affect the price of housing? A lot of things affect the price of housing, as you know, probably location, location, location being the top three. And so being able to tease out the effect of permits on the price of housing is tricky. We could look to see how Dolly is overseeing permit requirements and implementing it, but that's not, I don't think, the nub of the question. The other thing I will point out on this topic, and this will come into play for some of the others too, is, as I think we all know, the world has changed significantly in the last 3 to 4 weeks. And so some of these topics may have made more sense, or I guess the topics really have changed since COVID-19. So what factors affect the price of housing? Right now, I'm not sure that, Dolly permits are the key factor. I think the state of the world may be a bigger factor. So COVID-19 may also be a factor in considering whether some of these topics make sense at this time. The next topic, individual and small group market health insurance. I do want to pause on this one for a moment because, as you'll see, it was the second highest vote getter. I know there's a lot of interest in this topic. It is not a program evaluation. The questions as posed are not a program evaluation, and I'm sorry to be kind of that direct about it, but I know we're short on time, and I just want to be really clear. There's questions about the disparities across the regions in terms of prices for folks with health insurance. Those disparities are already known. I mean, the Department of Health has those answers right now. The other questions that are posed under this topic are really prospective. It's, can OLA do some modeling to estimate how prices would change under different models? It's not a program evaluation. Program evaluations look back at a program that's in place and see, is this working, is this not working? And so the questions posed in here are really prospective. And frankly, the Department of Health, especially Health Economics Department, a lot of expertise, and they're the folks who could really answer these questions. If you guys decide that you want OLA to do this, we would really be working with them. We would probably need a consultant. And again, this gets back to uncertainty around the budget. So I'm reluctant to kind of be that strong about a topic, especially one where there's a lot of interest, but I am really concerned about OLA's ability to deliver the type of report you would want from us that would answer the questions that are posed. The next topic is Metro Transit. This is one where I think COVID-19 really factors in. I think the world has changed a lot as relates to Metro Transit. There were some general questions about fare subsidies and things like that. We could answer that. Again, the world has changed. Other questions related to safety on light rail or bus driver overtime. And I'm not sure those things are kind of in the same place where we were 3 weeks ago. The next topic, Metropolitan Airports Commission, small commission. It didn't get a lot of votes. Metropolitan Airports Commission is routinely considered a very well-run organization nationally. And this is another thing with COVID-19. I mean, I think the state of airports and airlines it's a whole different place than we were 3 or 4 weeks ago. Mndot contract and employment goals. This would be looking at the extent to which Mndot has achieved its goals related to contracting with companies that are owned by women or owned by minority folks. And so this is something that we could look at. We could look at the extent to which Mndot is doing this. We could look at its contract practices with relationship to this. You know, it would be a fine topic. Monitoring and regulating pollution is another topic that got a lot of votes. This is one where if the Audit Commission decides to select this topic, I would really encourage you to scope this down. There's a lot of different types of pollution. There's a lot of different agencies that manage pollution. There's monitoring and there's regulating. So as framed right now, this is an evaluation that's 10 miles wide and an inch deep. What would be super helpful if you guys want us to do this one is for you to say something like, we want you to look at how MPCA monitors air pollution or something. So it's an agency, it's a type of pollution, and it's monitoring or regulating. The more specific you can be, I think the better job we can do providing you a useful evaluation. Public Utilities Commission decision-making. Also kind of in the middle of the pack on the survey results, I will note that we did not think this was a promising evaluation. The questions posed were really second-guessing the decisions PUC made. And those decisions are very legal and very technical, and it's not something where I think OLA has the best expertise. Additionally, we are just wrapping up an evaluation of the Public Utilities Commission. It's a relatively small organization. I think for us to go back and hit them immediately again is a lot to ask of an agency. And then finally, trunk highway funding. This is another one where it's really questions can mostly be answered through a financial audit, and we have already committed to doing a financial audit in this area this year. So for those reasons, I don't think OLA ranked it very highly, although there's interest in it. But I will note that both this trunk highway funding topic and the DNR special revenue funds topic are both topics that OLA will be looking at this year through at least a financial audit. So, Madam Chair, with that, I will adjourn, or sorry, I will end my comments and I'll pass it over to you. And make sure you unmute yourself when you want to talk. Thank you.
Okay, I see we have a hand up, Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I would like to move 3 topics. They're the fairly high vote getters. One would be the child protection. The second would be the teachers of color. And the third would be the driver and vehicle exams. And that would be my motion to pick those 3. We still would have 2 others that I think would be open for discussion.
Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, we will take a vote on Representative Hansen's motion to include the collaborative, urban, and greater Minnesota education of colors, drivers, state exam stations, I believe it is, and the child protection and removal one. All those in.
Hi, just a second. I wanted to make sure that we weren't. How many evaluations are we allowed to choose?
5.
5. Okay. Then I have no issue. Representative Quam wanted to unmute himself. He needs to be unmuted.
He has to unmute himself, I believe.
Okay, there he goes.
Representative Quam,
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So yeah, when you were asking for comments on that, I was trying to be acknowledged. So it's the driver exam, the child removal, and then going all the way down to you said that the collaborative urban, are those the three you're talking about?
Yes.
And then the idea that there would be, they're already doing audit. The auditing group would be doing trunk highway and the DNR. Is that correct?
I'm not following your question.
Okay, the question
Ra-
is basically this. There was a presentation that we had at the beginning before a motion was made. During that presentation, there was a reference to the, I believe it was both the trunk highway funding, which I think also in our materials is listed as a good candidate for being in the audit, as in the other group of auditing that they would normally do. And I'm trying to clarify from what I heard because I had to run over from the chamber in order to hear, and it had started in the audio forced me to use my phone in order to be able to actually hear what was going on.
Okay, well,
I'm
good.
trying to get some clarification from what was stated.
We will be happy to do that, Representative Quam. I'm impressed how fast you got over to the state office building. I have a hand up here, Rick Hansen. Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Representative Quam. I made the motion for 3 because those were some of the top vote getters, and then there would the topic selection subcommittee would still be open to discuss the other 2. So my intent here is not to limit it to 3, that we're just essentially triaging and taking relatively the top 3. There was the number 2 vote getter, but I was impressed by Ms. Randall's comment that that number 2 vote getter was not possible as a program evaluation. So if you look at the survey results, I'm taking 1, 3, and 4 and moving those 3, and then that would be one motion, and then we can discuss what the other 2 would be.
Representative Quam, does that answer your question?
No, it was the discussion by Ms. Randall in regards to the trunk highway and the DNR special revenue fund.
Ms. Randall.
Madam Chair and Representative Quam, yes, on both of those topics, the DNR special revenue funds and the trunk highway funding, those are both topics that our financial audit division has already committed to doing a financial audit of. So those are both topics where OLA will have a presence this year. Now, the financial audit division will, of course, be taking more of a financial audit lens. So if you have questions that are more evaluative or broader based, then you could still think doing a program evaluation is a good idea. But the questions as posed to us were a lot about is the money being allocated and used in the proper ways, and are there appropriate internal controls? And those are things that our financial audit division will definitely be looking at.
Thank you, Ms. Randall. Representative Quam, does that answer your question?
Yes, it did clarify my understanding.
Okay, excellent. We are in the middle of a vote, and I realize we're on Zoom. It's not easy for people to get off mute quickly. Does anyone else have a comment before we finish?
Not at this time.
Okay, so we have a motion from Representative Hansen that the collaborative urban, I have to get the exact title here, Collaborative Urban and Greater Minnesota Education of Color Program, the driver's examination stations, and the child protection removals and reunification be selected for 3 out of 5 of our audits for the next year. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Okay.
Nay.
Okay, we got 1 nay. The motion prevails. Thank you, members. now we'll move into choosing our next two topics. And do we have a motion for that one?
Madam Chair, I would recommend the Board of Cosmetology review, number 3.
Okay. Is there any discussion about that one? Okay, I'm just going to give people just another moment here, just in case. Sometimes it's hard to get off mute. Okay, so we have the motion to do the audit for the Board of Cosmetology. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
The motion prevails. So thank you very much on that one. So now I'm going to make a motion that the Mndot contract employee goals be our 5th selection. Is there a discussion?
I do like that.
Yeah, that's, okay.
Okay,
I'll go
so Representative Frentz, would you like, you did comment, and then we'll go to Representative Crom. You do like that one, did I hear?
Yeah, I just said I like that topic. I like the idea that we focus on some of those things, and I don't know that any of the other ones are rising any higher than that topic.
Okay, Representative Quam, I heard you had a positive comment as well.
No, I was asking that you repeat that one more time.
Okay, sure. Thank you. I will do that. And that one is Mndot contract and employee goals.
I guess the comment on that one is that it was towards the bottom in votes and is lower on the feasibility scale.
Well, actually, it's higher on the, Ms. Randall, could you address that? I believe it's higher on the feasibility scale than the majority of them. And then it did rank 13% of the survey respondents support it. Could you just elaborate on that?
Sure. Madam Chair and Representative Quam, regarding the Mndot contract and employment goals topic, so it received 13 votes. I mean, so those are total number of votes. And we said there was a medium feasibility. I think we can certainly answer some of the questions in terms of how Mndot is handling the contracting process and its oversight and the extent to which it's meeting its goals. Those are all highly feasible questions. If there are broader questions about the impact of this program on helping certain businesses to acquire other business outside of state government, we wouldn't be able to answer that question. But if there's questions simply about how Mndot is doing vis-a-vis this program, if it's doing what people are expecting it to do, I think we can easily answer those questions.
Members' discussion.
I did have a question, Ms. Randall. Could you review number 16 again for me?
Senator Benson. Ms. Randall.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Senator Benson, can you repeat that again, please?
In comparing the two Mndot provisions, 13 and 16, could you remind me where 16 ended up?
Madam Chair and Senator Benson, by number 16, do you mean the trunk highway funding topic?
Trunk highway.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. In terms of where it ended up on our ranking, it was lower than the Mndot contract and employment goals. A lot of that rating, though, was because OLA is going to be doing a financial audit on those topics.
Okay.
And so it was kind of an issue of balance, and is this the best way to use evaluation resources?
Okay. Members, further discussion?
Yes, I noticed that on the feasibility or most promising, the second one on the list, AIM, and then it also was a third greater vote count than the Mndot. And it sounds like we're already doing some Mndot. That was my, I'm not understanding why we wouldn't pick the second most promising and one that gained a third again more votes.
Okay. We're just looking at, I'm looking at a document here to check out they're checking out one other one here. Can't find it.
And we are supposed to be
Okay,
on
we
the
can-
floor in 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. Okay, well, let's take a vote on that since we've had discussion on it. All those in favor of picking the Mndot contract and employment goals as our 5th one signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed,
No,
No.
the motion carries. Okay,
So motion carried 3-2?
yes,
3 to
3 to 2.
Okay. Understood.
Okay. Well, thank you
okay,
for
I do
your,
need to
okay, you need to go and get going. Yep.
check out.
Okay, thank you very much
Thanks,
for being
everybody.
here today. Yes,
Great
thank
meeting.
you. Yes,
Thanks,
thank you, and
Bud. Woo!
have a great floor session. And thank you to our OLA staff for making this possible and being pioneers in our new reality here in our virtual meeting. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And then, so I'm gonna, is there any other things that we need to take up today to make sure we do our business?
If you wouldn't mind, just for the record, I'd just like
Yes.
to say what the 5 topics are to make sure that at least people who are still here and whoever's watching
Right.
live
Yeah,
are all
exactly.
on the same page. Does that work? Okay, so.
Please do, Ms. Randall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Board of Cosmetology, Child Protection Removals and Reunifications, I think understanding we'll be doing some scoping on that. Collaborative Urban and Greater Minnesota Educators of Color Program, Driver Examination Stations, and Mndot Contract and Employment Goals. Is that your understanding as well?
That is my understanding.
Okay.
Oh, so we did them individually, so we don't have to do them as a group. We took them one by one. Sometimes we do them fully as a group, but we did our business, and appreciate you for wrapping up the summary of that. And thank you for your conciseness. You're always good at keeping a meeting going and getting us through these big topics. Okay, so with that, any other comments before we adjourn?
Yeah,
you,
so
Madam
this
Chair.
will,
Okay, yes,
This is-
Representative Quam.
thank you. So these results will be mailed to the committee as a whole, and then we will do the final addressing there, correct?
Yes, we will, Representative Quam. And
Okay, thank you.
we're expecting that to be next week. Is that correct, Ms. Randall?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Okay. Okay, well, good work, and I hope you all have a great day and that you stay well. Thank you.
Thank
Take
you
care.
very much.
Bye-bye.
Stay healthy.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.